We're at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 1 o'clock East Coast time here in Atlanta. We've got Brett Baker in sunny California. This guy is a tech wizard. If you don't know him, just to give you a quick introduction, he built a lovely business in the state of Washington, and I think you had a few offices outside of Washington as well. Yeah, that was something I learned recently. Ended up growing such a big and successful business. He sold it for quite a nice chunk of change and relocated from Tri-Cities, Washington, down to Southern California, where he does a number of things at this point, including surfing, flying, boating, things of that nature. But this guy knows everything you need to know about technology. He scaled a large business because of technology. He used a great degree of automation. And because of his expertise and experience in automation and in technology, I wanted him to talk to you all today about how he did that to grow a successful business without losing the relationship aspect of it. Because this is very much a relationship business, but you can't scale relationships without the proper use of technology. Keyword being proper. If you use it improperly, you're going to feel like a robot. You're going to feel like a chatbot, and that's not the type of relationship that I know Chime clients or others want for their business and their reputation. So with that being said, I will shut up and I will let Brett talk to you a little bit more about how to make automation scale and still feel personal.
Thanks, Randy. That was, I think that was the best intro I've ever had. I like that. Just throwing the, what does he do all day now? Surfing, boating. Yeah, that. I went surfing this morning. It was so windy that I had to cancel. But anyways, thank you for that. Yes, technology is kind of where I started, what I grew with. And I think it's so easy in this day and age. You know, when I started doing anything, Facebook is where I started. Okay. And so when I started on Facebook, it was very much, you got to remember, I came from sleepy town, Eastern Washington. When I moved there, I'm from SoCal. I moved there. I didn't know anybody. And so I had to start totally from scratch. And so by starting from scratch, I had no sphere of influence. I had no book that I could open and just call people. I had to do all of that myself. And so I got good on Facebook and I started running Facebook ads. And any of you that have run Facebook ads know that you get a lot of fluff and you have to weed out what's good and what's not. And so what I like to tell people is the first part of automation that you need to have is you need to have a way to triage leads, right? So just like when you go to an ER room and you maybe broke your wrist surfing and you go in there and you're saying, hey, look, I broke my wrist. And they're like, great, get in line over there because you're not that important to us right now. The guy that's dying of a heart attack over here is way more important than you are. I had to have that similar approach because, when you're dealing with what started with 50 leads a day, think about that number for a minute, you can't physically follow up with that many people. You can hire 100 ISAs and they'll be great for the first month. And then after the first month, they're going to be behind for the second month because you're still getting 50 leads a day. So what I used was I took a system that automated that, right? So I used Chime. And basically what Chime does is they use a lead score and they start saying hey, you need to start watching Toby over here. Toby is doing a lot of things that are making it seem like he is thinking about buying or selling a house. You need to be on top of him. And so I used a system like Chime, actually it was Chime, and it would actually take and tell me who to follow up with. So I started with that. Once you're in on that, it doesn't stop. The automation for me didn't stop because it was literally started with just me. I was single agent doing my thing. When you start getting so many transactions under contract that this sounds bad, and some of you are going to roll your eyes at me right now, that you forget who you have under contract, you have to have systems in place. And so we actually used a self-made system that we had that was telling us like, here's where these people are in the process. And it would send out automated emails to them. Here's where you are in the process. We're now in inspection period. During this time, here are the things that are going to happen. We're going to introduce you to our inspector. They're going to do all these things. It made it seem very personal because I wrote all the emails. I didn't use emails that other people had written. I wrote them all myself, and it made it seem very personalized to them using things like merge fields. If you've never heard of a merge field, Randy, have you heard of merge fields?
Yeah, I've heard of a merge field.
Okay. So a merge field basically would be like, say I was writing a basic email to, that was going to go out to a client. And it would basically say like, hey, first name. So if I was sending it to Randy, it would end up merging Randy's name into it. Say, hey, Randy, I saw that you were interested in, and then it would have a merge field for address. So 123 Main Street. So it'd be, hey, Randy, saw that you were interested in 123 Main Street. I used my CRM. I used my tools to be able to have these merged emails essentially go out and look really customized.
Wait a minute, Brett. You're telling me that you didn't use the template that came in the system? You actually invested the time in building your own personal message?
Yeah.
But Brett,
I know.
Brett, you invested time into your business and you made it feel personal?
I think
what did it do for you?
I think the thing is, I think we can all do that, right? Like we can all take 15, 20 minutes. What I tell people to do, and this is like the easiest thing that you can do, treat people the way you want to be treated, right? I hate 10 days of pain. I don't know if any of you guys use 10 days of pain. I hate 10 days of pain. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want my leads in pain. I don't want my clients in pain. No one needs to be in, this is business, guys. We're not pulling fingernails here. I liked creating what I like to receive. Okay. So what I ended up doing, and since then I'm really stoked because Chime actually like saw kind of what I was doing and they were like, hey, we can make that easier for you. I'm like, okay. But initially what would happen is a new lead would come in. I would use Chime's AI chatbot, and basically it would use artificial intelligent bots that would respond via text message to these leads and try to get them engaged, try to get them a conversation going. About an hour and a half later, a voicemail drop would go out automatically, and that would be done through Sly Broadcast. And so a drop would go out and it would basically be like, hey, it's Brett with the Baker team. I just wanted to reach out to you real fast. I'm walking into a meeting, but I saw that you registered on my website. I just wanted to take 2 seconds and say thank you so much for registering on our website. It's great to see that you're out looking at houses right now. Let me know if there's anything that I can help you with. One of my teammates should have already reached out to you. They just want to have a brief conversation, make sure that your home search is set up correctly. If you have any problems or need anything, give me a shout. Here's my phone number. Done. That simple. Voicemail drop goes out immediate. I mean, literally as soon as the chatbot is done, that goes out. It waits a day. It sends them a little email here and there. Welcome into the website. Like, hey, just wanted to check back in with you. Let me know if you need anything. The next day, another voice drop goes out. And so we have all these systems that work simultaneously together to do one thing, to make sure that their home search is set up correctly on our website. Because that is the single most important thing that we can send any client, any lead, anything. Property updates that match what they're looking for. I know that sounds crazy. We don't send templated emails that have a lemon meringue pie recipe. We don't send that kind of stuff. We send stuff that is valuable and what matters. And so from there, we went in and we would send an educational video series. And it was me, very much on a webcam, kind of like I am now, oftentimes not even with the collared shirt on, just me being me and me trying to explain to them on a 5th grade level real estate as they need to understand it. And I did that because what I was finding is that I should probably tell you my majors. I double majored in aerospace engineering, space physics with a minor in meteorology. You want to talk aerospace physics with me? Cool. You want to talk math with me? I'll talk your ear off. But I was losing people because I was losing these leads that were coming in, and I'd be like, let's talk about financing. Here's what it's going to look like over 30 years. Here's your amortization schedule. Boom, boom, boom. And they're just like, I would catch one person.
No one wants to talk about that.
Right? I would catch one person in the relationship, like Randy's girlfriend. I would definitely get her with that. Randy, on the other hand, would be like
She's
lost.
a lot smarter than me.
Right?
She's a lot smarter than me. She got a full scholarship to grad school. So
right.
yeah.
See, I would lose Randy in a heartbeat. And what I was finding is the trust. I would use automation. I'd use all these tools to give them all of this nifty data, but I would lose people in translation. And so what I found was that if I broke this down on a 5th grade level, I could build trust even using automation. So I would get the person that maybe didn't care about amortization schedules. Maybe I would get the person that didn't really care about how the rate was that day or what it meant by a market update. Maybe I just broke that down in English, plain, simple 5th grade English. And I found that I was getting more and more people watching these videos that were going out. And so the more people that watched them, the more people that trusted me. And I had my phone ringing as opposed to me picking up the phone and calling people. So the trick to automation.
Let's unpack that a little bit more. Let's just unpack that a little bit more.
Sure.
You invested into systems, but not with the expectation that this system is going to be an on switch and business is going to come in and people are going to start calling you and wanting to work with you right away. You
Right.
invested into systems here so they could deliver your content, your information here. And when you put those two together, you were able to build the business that you built. And you were on real trends and you were top agents all over the place.
Correct.
So I think systems, at this point, every system has a template for some text or email or voicemail drop or whatever it is. Their templates exist, but that is in a way a kiss of death, right? For this agent, because it becomes this crutch where, Correct. And you hear it every salesperson who sells products like this gets the question, do you have templates in your system? And every system has to provide it because everyone wants it. But it's the few who go above and beyond to invest into the content and the information that's being sent by these systems that is actually growing the business because it's giving the system an authentic you type feel. And if
Right.
anyone tuned into our webinar yesterday, where Brett was one of the panelists, one of the biggest takeaways was be consistently you. Be consistent and be you, right? And a template is almost never going to be who you are, right?
So when I started doing what I was doing, my motto was actually boldly different. We have a trademark, patented, like you name it, we have protected that with our lives. Because when I got into real estate, you got to remember, like I came from the aerospace side of things. I moved into my area. I moved there for air traffic control. I was an air traffic controller, and I went to go buy a house, and I called the listing sign, and one dude called me back 2 days later. 2 days later. And we're not talking like, I wasn't looking like your median price point house. I was looking like way above, like someone who had that listing blew my mind that it took him 2 days to call me back. I'm like, dude, I'm looking at the top end of the market here. That said, he was the best agent in the area. And so I thought to myself, if I could get in front of people in a day, what if I can get in front of people in 30 minutes? What if I can get in front of people in 5 minutes? The problem is I wanted a life. There was no way that a lead would come in and I'd be working with someone and be like, hey, no, I got to call somebody. There was no way that would happen. So I use systems to buy my time back, because I think what we've found in this industry is that for the longest time, people are saying, I need more leads. I need more leads. I need more leads. How do I get more leads? How do I get more leads? How do I get more leads? That's the wrong conversation. The wrong conversation is, how do I get in front of these people and get them to trust me? The other part of that conversation is, how do I take these leads and turn them into business? Because we don't get paid following up with leads. We get paid closing transactions. And so a lot of people will say, well, these leads are bad. There's no such thing as a bad lead. It's a lead that doesn't trust you. If someone's putting in Mickey Mouse into your CRM, it's because you have not provided them enough value for them to trade their information for it. So how do you build more value? I tell people this all the time. I taught my coaching clients this: lead with education. That's the simplest way. And the easiest way for you to do that is to take questions that you have many of you have gotten over years. Okay. I dove into this. Like I knew nothing at the time. So I took questions and I polled everybody that I ran into. It was like, hey, what's the most confusing thing for you about real estate? And people were like, oh man, like the appraiser, the inspector, what, like which one's which? And so I would literally take that information and be like, all right, let's make a video about this. Today we're talking about inspections. Big scary word. Here's how this helps you. Here's what this does for you. And here's what the inspector is actually doing. And so we took that and we would break that down into one video. Then we go appraisal. Everybody freaks out over the appraisal. Let's talk about the appraisal. And we would break that down. When it all came down to it, we had like 130 of these videos that went out in drip format. So think about that for a minute. You start at the very, very beginning, and about every 4 days, you'd have a new video that would go out to them. It wasn't like hey, it's a really good time to be in the market right now. If you're thinking about buying or selling, now is the time. I mean, rates are just, and it wasn't that. It was, hey, let me show you why you should work with me. Let me show you what I do. And let me make this in a way that you understand, so that when we actually sit down and have a buyer consult, or we go see houses and I tell you, here's how I look at this house. Here's where I look at this as a number. Here's where I think you should write your offer. I was finding that I wouldn't get people that would be like, oh, $300,000 house. I want to write 220 on it. I wouldn't get that, because I'd say, well, let's talk about that. It's a $300,000 house. It's been on the market for a day. Is that really where these houses are selling in a day. Should we look there? Well, what would you write on it? That's what I would get. What would you write on it? And they would go with what I said because they trusted me. That's how I was using automation, is I would have all these just done automatically, didn't have to think about it. People were calling me, people were emailing me, people were texting me, not the other way around. Do you have questions on that, Randy? I kind of rambled.
Yeah. No. That was good. I mean, that was really what I wanted people to hear. Now, what would you say to the people who respond with, but I don't have time?
Okay. I get that a lot.
Yeah.
You do.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
You do have time. Okay. So I want to break down a story for you, and I can answer your question with the story. I was an air traffic controller with the FAA. I started at arguably the second busiest facility in the United States, LA. I moved up to Anchorage, moved down to Long Beach, moved out to Salt Lake City, and then into Eastern Washington. I was an air traffic controller, controlling aircraft in the sky while I was doing real estate. And I kid you not, it would literally go like this. Clients calling. Shit. Alaska 232, runway 25 right, clear to land. Yes, Brett. And I would literally be doing two things at once. And yeah, that's going to freak out the people that are on this webinar right now. But that's what I had to do. When people are saying, I don't have time to do this, what are you doing during the time when you're working on your business? What are you doing? If it's not, I'm prospecting for business. If it's not, I'm on the phone working to prospect for business. You have 4 minutes out of your day. Instead of going to Starbucks and doing the drive-through, which right now with COVID is taking what, like an hour? Dude, do it in your car while you're sitting in line at Starbucks. It takes 4 minutes to make a video. Does it have to be perfect? No, it doesn't. I see so many people, the second biggest excuse that I get, and I call them all excuses. The second biggest excuse that I get right now is, well, I don't have a media team to follow me around like you did. You're right. You don't have a media team to follow you around like I had. That is correct. And I think a lot of people are so wrapped up on this, well, the video has to look perfect. And why would I do anything that's less? It doesn't look professional if I just do it on my webcam, sitting in my room with my printer behind me and a chair over here. It does. Because people aren't looking at your surroundings. They're looking at you and they're listening to your message. And so my advice to you is just do it. Take 4 minutes out of your day and make a video. I'm going to give you one thing that you can do right now. So this is something that it's not automation, but it's going to help you in the future. Okay. And this is something you can do right this second that is going to help your business down the road, because it's going to be something that you can do that people are going to remember you by, that are going to start putting 2 and 2 together. I had a series, it was called Spotlight on Tri-Cities. And we went around to all these restaurants and we interviewed them. We went around to all these businesses and we interviewed them. We made our videos about them. We were in them. We were there. Hello. everybody knew that we did real estate because we talked about real estate in them, but we focused the video on them. You don't have to do the same thing. You can do the same thing, but you don't have to. What you can do today is you can go on and you can go into your area and you can create a Facebook group for restaurants that are open and have takeout and delivery available during COVID-19. That's the first thing you can do right now. Go create a Facebook group, call it Food to Go in Your Area During COVID-19. I know 4 guys that have done this since our webinar yesterday, and they are in the tens of thousands of users in it. Ben, for example, Ben's at like 17,000 people. He got interviewed by the news. Yeah, dude, it's nuts. Now you're like, well, how am I going to turn that into business in the future? You can turn that into business in the future. You're now building trust with people by showing, look, even during this time of crisis, we're out here. We're helping you. We're helping businesses do better. Those businesses are going to remember you. So my advice right now, automation that you can do right now, do that. Facebook will work for you. Second thing you can do is start doing videos immediately. If you don't use a service like Chime that can send those out using smart plans, I would sign up for a system like Chime. BombBomb is another one that does it. It's not quite as good as what Chime does because it doesn't have the structure. It doesn't have a lot of the merge fields, and it doesn't put people back in a CRM. If you're not using a CRM, now is the time to use a CRM. I'm not kidding. This blew my mind. I have to like rub my temples a little bit for this one. I met a guy that he's been in real estate a very long time. He uses a yellow pad. That's his CRM. And I'm just like,
this is great.
Oh. But here's the thing. He's very good at what he does because he has a system that works for him. I don't care what your CRM is. Use a CRM. Randy, you were going to say something.
There was maybe we're talking about the same guy. I can't remember his name, but he was an agent who bought a new yellow pad, new legal pad for every client that he got.
Same dude.
So he just has file cabinets. He just pulls out his yellow pad of that client and then just
I walked into this guy's office one time and it was like yellow papers all over his walls. And I'm just sitting there like, my OCD brain was just like, first of all, I can't write that well. I write like a third grader. So if I don't write it down, it's a different thing. The way that you can use your CRM and the way you should use your CRM, I think a lot of people get confused on how to use their CRMs. What I tell people is a CRM needs to have, in my opinion, 3 things. Okay. And Jason just put that BombBomb integrates with Chime. Go. Yep. It does integrate with Chime. Chimes, don't use the BombBomb automations and don't use BombBomb prompt. Just take your BombBomb videos and put them into Chime smart plans. But anyways, one of the things that you need to be using your CRM for that I will swear up and down to use your CRM for, put notes in there that are meaningful. Okay. And so what I think so few people do is they just look at the lead and then they move on to the next one. Look at the lead, put some housing information in there, move on to the next one. Here's what you need to be doing with that. Okay. You need to be taking as many notes as you possibly can. So I'd be on the phone with Randy right now and I'd be like, oh, cool. I'd ask you questions like, hey, Randy, do you have any animals? Do you have any animals?
Oh, no, definitely
not. No, of course not. No, I pegged you as a cat person though. So I'm going to pretend though that you, I'm going to pretend though that you had a cat named, I don't know, Mouser. And basically I would write down in my notes that Randy has a cat named Mouser. Randy loves sports. Here's the things that Randy loves to do. He has 2 kids. He doesn't have any kids, but he has 2 kids and their names are, right. Their names are, put 2 names in here because the next time that I talk to Randy, I'm going to pull my notes up and I'm going to look at it and I'm going to go, hey man, how's Mouser doing? Has he caught anything lately? How's the football team doing? Have you been out playing soccer lately? I'm going to have a real conversation with Randy and it's all right there on my CRM. This will make Randy feel like less of a number, right? When you're dealing with 50 leads a day, it's very easy for a lead to feel like a number. When you're on your power dialer and you're ripping through people tend to feel like a number. They don't want to work with someone that makes them feel like a number. They want to work with someone that remembers that they have 2 kids, they have a cat, and they love sports. That's what they want. And so the way you should be using your CRM is these kind of notes. so that you have this great relationship with this person that you can pick up the phone instead of going like, hey, Randy, so thinking about buying anytime soon? A couple new houses out on the market. Yep. I can literally say instead like, hey man, how's it going? How's Mauser doing? You know, have you been out playing soccer today? Cool deal. Yeah. Hey man, the market's been going real well. You know, things are moving. You know, if you've had any thoughts still about buying or selling, now's the time to do it. But you have these meaningful conversations with people. And that used to be a big thing back before, you know, you were getting 30 or 40 or 50 leads a day. I've got one client who's getting 150 leads a day. I mean, how do you even keep up with that?
And let's make it abundantly clear too, you don't need to be in a place where you're actually buying leads even to make a CRM important.
Correct.
I mean, a CRM, you need to have that in place before you even consider your first lead purchase, because you have, most of y'all listening, I'm sure, have been in the business for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? I mean, that's not uncommon. Database. So massive database of hundreds of transactions, a ton of business, a ton of people within your sphere of influence. A CRM is every bit as important to you as it is to someone who is getting 150 leads a day. And the reason being, someone who only has their sphere of influence and past clients and referrals, et cetera, those people exist as a lead in someone else's database.
Nailed it.
So you have to protect your people, and you can't do that through a yellow pad. I mean, I'm sorry.
Well, if we look at go ahead.
Just saying, you need a CRM in place to protect your people because they are leads to somebody else. And if somebody else is out teching you, out technologying you, and following up with these people, you'll lose their business. I mean, there's a terrible statistic that NAR released about the percentage of home buyers who reuse the same agent.
It's terrible.
It's like 12%.
Yeah.
It's not good.
I got another statistic for you. Do you want a really scary? Okay, so remember, background statistics. You want a really scary statistic? How many websites each lead is registered on? Do you want to take a guess at how many websites, on average, a lead is registered on? Give me a ballpark guess.
6?
Double it.
12.
When you think about how many people are sending them, and this is my favorite part. Okay, so we use automation. A lot of people are using companies to create content for them. And so I'm going to give you a great example of that. Yesterday, I received 72 of the exact same email from 72 individual agents with their name changed. Amazing. That was it. Now, I'm not going to tell you the company that they were getting that through. Keeping current matters. Something in my throat. But they were sending out the same content. Think about that for a second. A lead registers on 12 different sites, okay? Imagine that 2 of those people are sending the same information to them. Now you have, like, what's real, what's not anymore. If you're the person sending them educational videos that you took the time to do, if you're sending them templates that you took the time to do, if you put 4 minutes a day of your time, instead of going out to lunch that day, you took and you ate your lunch in your office and spent 4 minutes a day creating content that they can then take and use that will give them nourishment that they need for their real estate needs. You're so far ahead of everybody else. And I think so many people forget that. It gets lost because I can go to KCM and be like, $40 a month, done. I can go to Bomb Prompt, $150 a month, done. Think about that, $150 a month. Dude, what's 4 minutes of your day? So that's how I look at it. Send unique content that is engaging to people. And I think you're gonna be so much further along.
And so we've got time for one more question, and I just want you to close it out by defining the difference between working in your business and working on your business.
Oh, man. Everybody has their own definition on that. I'm going to give you my definition, okay? So when you're working on your business, okay, working in my business, it's me doing things that are going to generate me more profit, right? That's working in my business. I'm doing things like creating more workflows, creating more content, creating engaging content that is going to get people to like and listen to what I have to say. Working on my business, I've never really worked on my business. I've only ever worked in my business. I know that sounds weird. Everybody has their own definition of these. I only work in my business because working on my business doesn't make me any money. Does that sound weird? Randy?
Sounds kind of weird.
Sounds kind of weird,
Sounds a little weird.
I bought systems. You know, when you think about it, working on my business, finding companies like Chime, finding lead sources that I want to, that's working on my business. Working in my business, I'm taking those systems and making them work for me. Make sense now?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our time is up
totally
here.
Lost you.
We're at yeah. No, I got it. We're cool. Same team. So, all right. 10:30. We're wrapping it up here. Thanks again, Brett, for that insight. To wrap it all into one sentence. Work on building information that is going to be personal and real to you and provide genuine value. Don't stick with the templates. Don't do it. So with that, thank you all very much, and we'll see you next time.